Fleet Admiral John Carter stood on the bridge of the flagship Enterprise as humanity prepared to deliver their final answer to the galactic ultimatum. The past 6 hours had been the most intense period of technological development in human history. As Dr. Rachel Kim and her team worked to complete the Consciousness Bridge project that might save both species from mutual destruction, Dr. Kim looked up from her control station where she had been making final adjustments to the bridge technology. "Admiral, the system is ready for full deployment. We can create stable zones where telepathic and non-telepathic consciousness can interact without permanent damage to either side," Captain Tony Miller reported from his position at the tactical station. "Admiral, the alien fleet is maintaining position, but their energy signatures suggest they are preparing to implement their final protocol within the hour." Ambassador Helen Davis activated the Consciousness Bridge communication system and prepared to make humanity's counter-proposal. To the galactic leadership, "Admiral, we have one chance to prove that coexistence is possible. If this fails, humanity will be cut off from the galaxy forever." Admiral Carter made his decision. "Ambassador Davis, transmit our proposal to the alien command fleet. Dr. Kim, activate the Consciousness Bridge and prepare for full demonstration." Helen spoke into the communication system with the knowledge that her words might determine the future of human civilization. Galactic Council. "This is Ambassador Helen Davis representing humanity. We reject your ultimatum, but offer an alternative that could benefit both our civilizations." The alien response came immediately through the bridge technology. "Ambassador, Davis, humanity has rejected peaceful containment and chosen conflict. Final protocol implementation cannot be stopped." "Wait," Helen said urgently. "We are not choosing conflict. We are offering a third option that your council has not considered. We propose the creation of silent zones where both telepathic and non-telepathic species can interact safely." Dr. Kim activated her demonstration as she transmitted the technical specifications for the Consciousness Bridge technology. "Council members, we have developed technology that can temporarily suppress telepathic networks in limited areas without causing permanent damage. This would allow for safe interaction between our species." The alien voice carried surprise when it responded. "Impossible. Telepathic suppression technology is considered consciousness warfare by galactic law. No species has ever developed such capabilities without malicious intent." Captain Miller reported that the alien fleet was powering down their final protocol systems. "Admiral, they are listening to our proposal instead of proceeding with dimensional isolation." Admiral Carter seized the opportunity. "Council members, humanity offers something your civilization has never had. We can provide perspective from outside your telepathic network. We can offer individual creativity and independent thought that your collective consciousness cannot generate." Dr. Kim transmitted detailed analysis of human cognitive abilities compared to telepathic species. "Our research shows that isolated consciousness develops differently than collective awareness. Humans excel at individual problem-solving, creative innovation, and independent analysis precisely because we are not connected to your network." The alien voice spoke again, but this time with careful consideration instead of dismissal. "Dr. Kim, are you suggesting that consciousness isolation produces cognitive abilities that telepathic connection cannot?" "Exactly," Rachel replied. "Your telepathic network creates unprecedented cooperation and shared understanding, but it also limits individual creativity and independent thought. Humans think differently because we are forced to rely on individual reasoning," Ambassador Davis pressed the advantage. "Council members, imagine the scientific and technological advances possible if telepathic collective intelligence could work together with human individual creativity. The combination could solve problems that neither approach could handle alone. Captain Miller reported increasing activity in the alien fleet. Admiral, they are conferring among themselves through their telepathic network. The energy signatures suggest intense debate. The alien voice returned with a proposal that surprised everyone. Ambassador Davis, the Council is willing to consider limited experimentation with consciousness bridge technology. We propose establishment of test zones where controlled interaction could occur. Dr. Kim transmitted the technical specifications for silent zone technology. Council members, we can create areas where telepathic networks are temporarily suppressed, allowing both species to interact as individuals. The suppression is reversible and causes no permanent damage. Admiral Carter realized that humanity might have found a path to coexistence. Council members, we propose establishment of research stations at the boundaries between our spaces. These stations would be silent zones where scientists from both civilizations could work together. The alien response carried cautious optimism. Admiral Carter, such cooperation would require unprecedented trust between species with fundamentally different consciousness types. The risks to both civilizations would be enormous. Captain Tony Miller made another tactical observation. Admiral, the alien fleet is repositioning into a more defensive formation. They have stopped preparing for final protocol implementation. Ambassador Helen Davis sensed the opportunity for breakthrough. Council members, humanity does not seek to destroy your telepathic network or force other species to become like us. We seek coexistence and mutual benefit through controlled cooperation. Dr. Rachel Kim activated a full demonstration of silent zone technology, creating a bubble of telepathic suppression around the Enterprise. Council members, this demonstration shows that telepathic suppression can be precisely controlled and easily reversed. No permanent damage occurs to telepathic abilities. The alien voice carried amazement when it responded. Dr. Kim, your technology appears to function exactly as described. The telepathic network shows clean disconnection with no consciousness damage. This suggests that controlled interaction might indeed be possible. Fleet Admiral Carter made humanity's formal proposal. Council members, we request establishment of joint research facilities in silent zones at the borders of human space. These facilities would allow both civilizations to benefit from cooperation while maintaining the safety of the galactic telepathic network. The alien leadership conferred for several minutes before responding. Admiral Carter, the Galactic Council accepts your proposal for limited experimentation with silent zone technology. We will establish 3 test facilities for joint research under carefully controlled conditions. Captain Miller reported the immediate changes in alien fleet disposition. Admiral, the containment fleet is standing down. They are repositioning to establish perimeter security around the proposed research zones. Dr. Kim transmitted additional technical data about consciousness bridge applications. Council members, the silent zone technology has applications beyond simple interaction. We could create research environments where telepathic collective intelligence and human individual creativity work together on problems that neither could solve alone. Ambassador Davis formalized the agreement that would change the relationship between humanity and galactic civilization. Council members, humanity accepts your terms for controlled cooperation through silent zone facilities. We look forward to proving that different types of consciousness can work together for mutual benefit. The alien voice carried what might have been relief when it responded. Ambassador Davis, the galaxy has avoided a consciousness war that would have damaged both our civilizations. The silent zones represent a new form of cooperation that the Council never considered possible. Admiral Carter watched as alien ships began establishing the infrastructure for joint research facilities at the edges of human space. Dr. Kim, what kind of research do you think will be possible in these silent zones? John. The possibilities are limitless, Rachel replied. Telepathic species excel at large-scale coordination and shared problem-solving, while humans excel at individual, innovation, and creative thinking. Together, we might solve problems that have challenged galactic civilization for millions of years. Captain Miller reported the establishment of the first Silent Zone research facility. Admiral, the aliens have deployed their technology to create a stable telepathic suppression field around the designated coordinates. The zone is ready for human occupation. Ambassador Davis received confirmation from Earth that humanity's greatest scientists and engineers were volunteering for assignment to the Silent Zone facilities. Admiral, we have more volunteers than positions available. Everyone wants to be part of this historic cooperation. Dr. Kim made final preparations for deployment to the first Silent Zone research station. Admiral, this represents more than just cooperation between humans and aliens. We are creating a new form of consciousness interaction that could revolutionize how intelligent species relate to each other. Fleet Admiral Carter looked out at the stars where human and alien ships were working together to establish facilities that would bridge the gap between individual and collective consciousness. Dr. Kim, we have achieved something I never thought possible. We have proven that differences in consciousness can be strengths rather than threats. President Maria Santos received the emergency briefing from General Wright while she was meeting with world leaders in the underground command center beneath Washington. The news that humanity had less than 24 hours before the alien silent wall would be completed sent shockwaves through every government on Earth. Admiral Tim Roberts studied the tactical displays showing the alien containment fleet and realized that conventional military response was impossible. Madam President, we are facing technology that is thousands of years ahead of our capabilities. Even if we could reach their ships, our weapons would be useless against their defenses. Dr. Sandra Lee looked up from her research station where she had been analyzing the data from Dr. Turner's consciousness bridge experiments. The preliminary results are promising but disturbing. We can create limited telepathic communication with alien minds, but the process reveals just how different human consciousness really is. She activated displays showing brain activity patterns from volunteers who had tested the consciousness bridge. Technology. Human minds do not just lack telepathic abilities. We think in fundamentally different ways than telepathic species. Where they have shared consciousness and collective thought processes, we have individual isolation and independent reasoning. President Santos studied the data carefully. Are you saying that joining their telepathic network would change human nature itself? Without question, Dr. Lee replied. The alien consciousness network is not just communication. It is a shared experience of reality where individual thoughts blend together into collective understanding. Humans who join that network would lose what makes them human. Captain George White entered the command center, carrying reports from his deep space exploration mission aboard the Aurora. Madam President, I have found something that changes our understanding of the situation. There are other species out there who chose isolation over joining the telepathic network. George activated his mission reports showing encounters with automated messages from ancient civilizations. We discovered beacon networks left by species that faced the same choice humanity faces now. They chose to remain independent rather than join the galactic consciousness. The automated messages played through the translation system in voices that sounded strangely familiar to human ears. To those who come after and face the choice between individual thought and collective harmony, remember that consciousness has many forms. The beautiful tyranny of shared minds offers peace, but demands the sacrifice of self. Choose wisely, for the choice cannot be undone. Admiral Roberts analyzed the tactical implications of these discoveries. So we are not the first species to threaten the telepathic network. Others have faced this same ultimatum, and some chose independence, Captain White confirmed. But the archaeological evidence suggests that isolated species eventually stagnate and fade away. The galactic network offers technological advancement and social development that independent species cannot match. Dr. Lee made another disturbing discovery as she analyzed the telepathic network data. Madam President, the galactic consciousness is not just advanced technology. It represents millions of years of evolutionary development where entire species have merged their individual identities into something greater than the sum of their parts. She showed brain scans from telepathic aliens compared to human neural patterns. They have evolved beyond individual consciousness into something we can barely understand. To them, human minds are not just different, but primitive and dangerous, like a virus that could destroy their evolutionary achievement. President Santos received an urgent transmission from the alien command fleet. The message was delivered through Dr. Turner's consciousness bridge technology, which allowed limited communication without permanent damage to either side. President Santos of the human species. The alien voice spoke with careful precision. We offer final terms for peaceful coexistence. Your species will accept permanent containment within designated boundaries or face complete dimensional isolation from galactic space. What exactly does dimensional isolation mean? President Santos asked. Your section of space will be severed from the fabric of reality that connects the galaxy, the alien replied. No faster than light travel, no subspace communication, no interaction with galactic civilization. Your species will exist in complete isolation until natural decline eliminates the consciousness threat. Admiral Roberts checked his tactical displays. Madam President, that would trap humanity in a small section of local space forever. We would never be able to reach the stars beyond our immediate neighborhood. Dr. Lee analyzed the alien proposal and found additional disturbing details. The containment terms include technological restrictions. Humans would be prevented from developing consciousness enhancement technology, dimensional physics, or advanced artificial intelligence. Any research that might threaten the telepathic network would be stopped by force, Captain White reported on his continuing exploration mission. Madam President, I am finding evidence that isolated species face more than just stagnation. The galactic network actively prevents technological development in quarantined civilizations to ensure they never become threats. President Santos felt the weight of making a decision that would affect the future of human civilization for thousands of years. What are our alternatives? We can accept the containment terms and preserve humanity within limited boundaries, Dr. Lee said. We can attempt to join the telepathic network, but that would fundamentally change human nature. Or we can reject their ultimatum and face forced isolation, or worse. The alien voice spoke again through the consciousness bridge. President Santos, your time for decision expires in 6 Earth hours. The silent wall will be completed regardless of your choice, but your cooperation would prevent the need for more extreme measures. What extreme measures? President Santos asked. Total consciousness suppression, the alien replied. Technology that would prevent human minds from generating the electromagnetic interference that disrupts telepathic communication. Your species would lose the ability to think independently and become suitable for integration into the galactic network. Admiral Roberts realized the full scope of the threat. They are talking about lobotomizing the entire human species. Dr. Lee confirmed his fears. The technology exists to suppress human brain activity in the regions that generate our electromagnetic signatures. Humans subjected to consciousness suppression would become docile and telepathically compatible, but would lose creativity, independent thought, and individual identity. Captain White made another discovery during his exploration of isolated civilizations. Madam President, I found records from a species that tried to negotiate with the galactic network. They were given the same ultimatum we face now and chose to fight rather than accept containment. What happened to them? President Santos asked. Third day. Space was completely sterilized, George replied grimly. The galactic network has the technology to collapse entire star systems if necessary to prevent the spread of consciousness contamination. The alien voice delivered humanity's final ultimatum. President Santos, the galactic consciousness has deliberated on the human question for the final time. Your species represents the greatest threat to galactic civilization in over 1 million years. Accept containment within the next 6 hours or face implementation of final protocol. What is final protocol? President Santos demanded. Complete removal of human consciousness from galactic space, the alien replied. Your star systems will be isolated in a pocket dimension where your species can exist without threatening telepathic civilization. The process cannot be reversed, and contact with the galaxy will be impossible forever. Dr. Lee analyzed the implications of dimensional isolation. Madam President, they are talking about cutting our entire section of space out of normal reality. We would exist in a separate universe with no possibility of return to galactic civilization. President Santos looked around the command center at her advisors and realized that humanity faced an impossible choice. Accept permanent imprisonment, allow themselves to be mentally altered, or face exile from reality itself, Madam President, Admiral Roberts said quietly. There is one more option. Dr. Turner believes his consciousness bridge technology could be adapted to create zones where telepathic and non-telepathic species could interact safely. Explain, President Santos ordered. Limited contact areas where telepathic abilities are temporarily suppressed, allowing for interaction without permanent damage to either side, Roberts replied. It would require cooperation from both humans and aliens, but it might offer a path to coexistence. The alien voice responded immediately. Such technology has been considered by the Galactic Council and rejected as too dangerous. Any suppression of telepathic abilities, even temporarily, is considered an act of consciousness warfare. President Santos made her decision knowing that the future of humanity depended on her next words. I need to speak directly with your leadership about a proposal that could benefit both our civilizations. Impossible, the alien replied. Direct contact with human consciousness would cause permanent damage to our representatives. Communication through technological interface is the maximum contact possible. General Danny Wright stood in the Situation Room beneath the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, watching displays that showed the positions of alien fleets throughout human space. The 72-hour ultimatum had expired 6 hours ago, and the aliens had begun what could only be called the strangest war in human history. They were not attacking human ships or worlds, but they were systematically cutting humanity off from the rest of the galaxy. Captain Nicole Brooks piloted her stealth reconnaissance ship Phantom through the outer boundaries of human space where the alien containment fleet maintained its positions. Her ship was equipped with the latest experimental technology designed to avoid detection while gathering intelligence on alien capabilities and intentions. Command, this is Phantom reporting. Nicole transmitted on the encrypted channel. The aliens are constructing something massive at the edge of our sensor range. It appears to be some kind of barrier or wall extending across multiple star systems. General Wright acknowledged her transmission while studying the tactical displays. Phantom, what kind of barrier are we talking about? Sir, it looks like they are deploying devices that are manipulating space-time itself, Nicole replied as she transmitted her sensor data back to command. The energy readings are beyond anything in our physics textbooks. Whatever they are building, it is designed to completely isolate human space from the rest of the galaxy. Dr. Alex Turner looked up from his research station where he had been analyzing the data from Captain Brooks and other reconnaissance missions. Danny, this is worse than we thought. The aliens are not just trying to contain us physically. They are cutting us off from hyperspace itself. Alex pulled up a display showing the hyperspace routes that human ships used for faster-than-light travel. Look at these readings from the past week. The aliens are systematically collapsing the wormhole networks that connect our space to the rest of the galaxy. Soon we will be trapped in our local stellar neighborhood with no way to reach the stars beyond. Commander Laura Stone entered the Situation Room, carrying intelligence reports from multiple sources. General, we have intercepted alien communications. That explained their strategy. They call it the Silent Wall, and it is designed to prevent any human ship or signal from leaving our designated area. Laura activated the translation system that had been working around the clock to decode alien messages. Listen to this transmission from their command fleet. The alien voice spoke through the translation program with the same careful pronunciation that Captain Morrison had first heard. Silent wall construction proceeding on schedule. Consciousness barriers will be complete within 10 Earth days. After implementation, no telepathic signal will be able to penetrate human space and no human vessel will be able to escape the containment zone. General Wright realized that humanity faced something far more sophisticated than simple military conquest. So they are not trying to destroy us. They are trying to quarantine us permanently. Exactly, Dr. Turner replied. And based on our analysis of their technology, they have the capability to make that quarantine absolute. Once their silent wall is complete, we will be cut off from the galaxy forever. Captain Brooks transmitted another report from her position near the alien construction sites. Command. I am observing something disturbing. The aliens are not just building barriers around our space. They are destroying entire star systems that lie between human territory and their populated worlds. The Situation Room fell silent as everyone absorbed the implications of that report. The aliens were willing to sacrifice star systems to ensure that human influence could never reach their civilizations. Dr. Turner made a breakthrough in his analysis of the alien containment technology. Danny, I think I understand how their consciousness barriers work. They are creating fields that amplify telepathic communication while simultaneously disrupting the electromagnetic patterns that human brains generate. He showed the team detailed readings from the barrier construction sites. The effect would be to create a zone where telepathic species can operate normally while human minds are effectively scrambled. Any human who enters the barrier zone would lose consciousness or worse. Commander Stone intercepted another alien transmission that revealed the true scope of their plan. General, listen to this. The aliens are not just isolating us from their space. They are planning to prevent human technological advancement beyond our current level. The translation system delivered the chilling message. Phase 2 of containment protocols will begin after Silent Wall completion. Technology suppression systems will prevent human advancement in faster-than-light travel consciousness manipulation and dimensional physics. The quiet ones will remain, trapped in their current development level permanently. General Wright felt anger building as he realized that the aliens intended to keep humanity in a technological prison forever. They want to turn us into a museum exhibit. Captain Brooks made another discovery during her reconnaissance mission. Command, I have found something important. There are ruins on several worlds within the barrier construction zone. These appear to be from civilizations that were contained by similar methods in the past. Dr. Turner analyzed the data from the ruined worlds and made a disturbing connection. Danny, these ruins show the same patterns we found in the abandoned systems that led to our first contact. I think the aliens have done this before. They have contained other species that threatened their telepathic network. What happened to those species? General Wright asked. Based on the archaeological evidence, they stagnated and eventually died out, Turner replied. Isolation and technological suppression over thousands of years led to the collapse of their civilizations. Commander Stone intercepted a transmission that revealed how the aliens viewed humanity's future. The quiet ones will be permitted to exist within their designated boundaries for as long as they do not attempt to expand or advance beyond approved limitations. Historical precedent suggests containment duration of 3,000 to 5,000 Earth years before natural decline eliminates the consciousness threat. General Wright made his decision. We are not going to accept permanent imprisonment. Laura, I want you to establish communication with the alien command fleet. Tell them we request immediate negotiations. Sir, they have made it clear that direct communication is dangerous for their crews, Laura replied. Human proximity disrupts their telepathic abilities permanently. Then we find another way, Wright said. Alex, what is the status of your consciousness bridge project? Dr. Turner activated displays showing his experimental technology. I have been working on devices that might allow limited telepathic communication without permanent damage to alien abilities. The theory is sound, but the technology is untested. Captain Brooks transmitted an urgent report from her position. Command, the aliens are accelerating their construction schedule. It looks like they want to complete the Silent Wall within 48 hours instead of 10 days. General Wright realized that time was running out for any negotiated solution. Alex, how quickly can you deploy your consciousness bridge technology? I can have a prototype ready for testing within 12 hours, Turner replied. But Danny, if this does not work, we will have proven to the aliens that coexistence is impossible. They will complete their containment and humanity will be trapped forever. Commander Stone, monitoring alien communications, reported another development. General, the aliens are debating something they call the Final Protocol. From what I can understand, it involves completely severing this section of space from the rest of the galaxy. The translation system delivered fragments of the alien debate. Final Protocol would prevent any possibility of consciousness contamination spreading beyond the containment zone. Recommend implementation if bridge technologies prove unsuccessful. Total dimensional isolation of human space. Acceptable losses to preserve galactic consciousness network. Dr. Turner worked frantically on his consciousness bridge device, while General Wright coordinated humanity's response to the alien ultimatum. Danny, if this technology works, it could change everything. We might be able to prove that humans and telepathic species can coexist without destroying each other. And if it does not work, Wright asked, then we will have 48 hours to prepare for permanent isolation from the rest of the galaxy, Turner replied grimly. Captain Brooks continued her reconnaissance mission, gathering intelligence on alien capabilities while the clock counted down toward the completion of the Silent Wall. Command, the aliens have at least 1,000 ships working on the barrier construction. Their technology is so advanced that our weapons would be useless against them. General Wright looked around the Situation Room at his team of officers and scientists. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to attempt something that will determine the future of human civilization. Either we find a way to bridge the gap between human and alien consciousness, or we accept that humanity will spend the next few thousand years trapped in a cosmic prison. Dr. Turner activated his prototype consciousness bridge device and prepared for the most important test in human history. Danny, the device is ready. If this works, we can offer the aliens proof that peaceful coexistence is possible. If it fails, then we fight, General Wright said firmly. I would rather see humanity go down fighting for freedom than accept permanent captivity. Admiral Karen Bell received the transmission from Kepler-7 while she was reviewing fleet deployment reports in her office aboard the flagship Constellation. The message from Captain Morrison changed everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the galaxy, and within hours, every major government on Earth was demanding answers that nobody had. Dr. Ryan Clark was already deep into his analysis of the alien transmission when Admiral Bell arrived at the xenobiology lab on Luna Station. The facility had been built to study any alien artifacts that human explorers might discover, but nobody had expected to be analyzing communications from living aliens who considered humanity a threat to galactic civilization. What have you found, Ryan? Admiral Bell asked as she looked at the massive displays showing waveform analysis of the alien communication. The transmission uses technologies we can barely understand, Karen, Ryan said without looking away from his work. But more importantly, the content suggests that we have been under observation for much longer than anyone imagined. Look at this linguistic analysis. Ryan pulled up a new display showing the structure of the aliens' English speech patterns. This being did not learn our language recently. The grammatical structures and vocabulary choices suggest they have been studying human languages for centuries, maybe longer. They know things about our linguistic development that most humans do not know. Specialist Amy Foster looked up from her code-breaking station where she had been working on intercepted alien communications that had started flooding the airwaves since Morrison's first contact. Admiral, I think you need to hear what I have been picking up from the alien networks. Amy activated her translation program, and alien voices filled the lab, speaking in dozens of different languages that the computer was trying to decode. These are fragments from what appears to be a galaxy-wide communication network. The translation is rough, but the content is disturbing. The computer voice began reading translated excerpts. Silent death vectors confirmed active in Sector 7. Containment protocols no longer sufficient. Consciousness barriers failing where human vessels approach. Music death spreading to border systems. Admiral Bell felt her blood run cold. Are they talking about us? Without question, Amy replied. But there is more. Listen to this fragment that came in an hour ago. Another alien voice spoke through the translation system. Ancient barriers breaking down. The quiet ones expand beyond predicted boundaries. Emergency council session required before the silence spreads to core worlds. All vessels maintain minimum safe distance from human space. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Parker entered the lab carrying a data pad filled with reconnaissance reports. Admiral, we have been detecting massive ship movements throughout this sector. Whatever these aliens are planning, they are mobilizing forces on a scale we have never seen. Ryan pulled up his latest analysis results. Karen, I think I understand what they mean by quiet ones. And silence now. Look at these neurological scans we have been running on human volunteers. The display showed brain activity patterns from human subjects compared to theoretical models of telepathic communication networks. Human brains show no activity in the ABE regions that would be necessary for telepathic communication. We always assumed that telepathy was impossible, but what if we are wrong? What if telepathy is normal and humans are the exception? Admiral Bell studied the data carefully. Are you saying that other species communicate telepathically and humans cannot? More than that, Ryan said as he highlighted specific areas of the brain scans. I think human minds actively disrupt telepathic communication. Look at these electromagnetic field readings from areas around human ships and stations. We generate interference patterns that would make telepathic communication impossible. Within several thousand kilometers, Amy suddenly stood up from her station with excitement and fear mixed on her face. Admiral, I just intercepted something important. There is a massive fleet positioning itself at the boundaries of human space. The aliens are not preparing to attack us. They are preparing to contain us. The translation system activated again with a new message. Quarantine fleet in position around Silent Death Zone. Begin construction of consciousness barriers. No telepathic species to approach within 1 light year of human vessels. Prepare for permanent containment protocols, Lieutenant Colonel Parker checked his tactical displays. Admiral, our long-range sensors are confirming this. There are at least 300 alien vessels forming a perimeter around human space. Their technology is far beyond anything we have, but they are maintaining position rather than advancing. Ryan made another discovery as he analyzed more intercepted communications. Karen, listen to this. The aliens keep referring to humans as consciousness killers and mind slayers. I think our presence does not just block telepathic communication. I think it permanently damages telepathic abilities in other species. He pulled up a new analysis showing energy patterns around abandoned alien sites that human ships had visited. Every location where humans have spent significant time shows evidence of what they call consciousness death. The aliens who lived there lost their telepathic abilities permanently. Admiral Bell realized the full scope of humanity's situation. So we are not just unable to communicate telepathically. Our presence actually destroys the telepathic abilities of other species. That would explain the pattern of abandoned worlds that Morrison's team discovered, Amy said. Those civilizations did not die or disappear. They lost their connection to the galactic telepathic network and became isolated, like humans have always been. The translation system activated with another intercepted message. Emergency session of the Galactic Consciousness Council now in progress. Topic is the expansion of the silent death beyond containment boundaries. All member species urge to maintain maximum distance from human space, while permanent barriers are constructed. Lieutenant Colonel Parker studied the tactical situation on his displays. Admiral, if these aliens decide that containment is no longer sufficient, they have more than enough firepower to sterilize every human world. Our entire fleet would not last an hour against what they have positioned out there, Dr. Ryan Clark made another disturbing discovery as he analyzed the alien communication patterns. Karen, there is something else. These aliens are not just telepathic individuals. They appear to be part of a galaxy spanning collective consciousness. When they talk about the music of minds and the great conversation, they mean a literal shared consciousness network that connects thousands of species across millions of worlds. Admiral Bell felt the weight of command as she realized that humanity faced a threat unlike anything in their history. So human expansion does not just threaten individual alien species. It threatens to unravel a galactic civilization that has existed for millions of years. Exactly, Ryan replied. And from their perspective, we are not just different. We are a plague that destroys the fundamental basis of their entire civilization. Amy intercepted another transmission that made the situation even more serious. Admiral, the aliens are preparing an ultimatum for Earth. They want to establish direct communication with our leadership to present terms for permanent human containment. The translation system delivered the ultimatum in cold, mechanical tones. Human leadership will receive terms for acceptable boundaries within 72 Earth hours. Rejection of containment terms will result in implementation of total isolation protocols. Human space will be severed from galactic infrastructure. Hyperspace routes collapsed, wormhole networks destroyed, technology advancement beyond current levels prevented by force. Lieutenant Colonel Parker checked his chronometer. Admiral, that gives us 3 days to figure out how to respond to aliens who consider our existence an existential threat to their entire civilization. Admiral Bell looked around the lab at her team of scientists and officers. Get me everything. We can learn about this telepathic network and how human minds affect it. If we are going to negotiate with these aliens, we need to understand exactly what we are dealing with. Ryan was already pulling up new displays showing the electromagnetic signatures that human brains generated. Karen, there might be a way to work with this. If we can understand how human minds disrupt telepathic communication, we might be able to develop shielding or containment methods that allow limited contact, or we might discover that coexistence is impossible, Amy added grimly, as she monitored more alien communications about consciousness death and the spreading silence that followed human expansion. Admiral Bell made her decision. Contact Earth Command and request immediate authorization. For Project Mindbridge, if we have 72 hours to prevent a galactic war, then we better use every minute we have. Captain Jake Morrison stood at the main window of mapping station Kepler 7 and watched the dead star burn its last light into empty space. The station had been his home for 3 years now, and he knew every sound it made when the solar winds hit the outer hull. Today something felt different, though, and he could not shake the feeling that they were being watched. Dr. Lisa Hayes called out from her workstation across the command deck, and her voice carried that excited tone that usually meant she had found something important in the old ruins they kept discovering. Jake walked over to her station, where dozens of holographic displays showed the mapping data from their latest deep space scans. "Jake, you need to see this," Lisa said without looking up from her screens. "The pattern we have been tracking for months just got a lot more interesting." Jake leaned over her shoulder and studied the data. For the past year, their station had been finding traces of dead civilizations scattered across this sector of space. All of them showed signs of sudden abandonment, and all of them seemed to point in the same direction, like they had been running from something. The strange part was that they all pointed away from Earth. "What am I looking at, Lisa?" Jake asked as he tried to make sense of the complex data streams flowing across her displays. "These are not random ruins, Jake," Lisa said as she highlighted different sections of the map. "Look at the dates we have been able to calculate. Every single one of these civilizations died or disappeared within the same 1,000-year period, and they all show the same pattern of movement." Elena Rodriguez looked up from her communication station, where she had been monitoring the usual background noise of space. "Captain, we are getting something strange on the long-range sensors. It looks like artificial signals coming from beyond our normal scanning range." Jake felt his heart skip a beat. In all the years humans had been exploring space, they had never found any living alien civilizations. They had found plenty of ruins and dead worlds, but never any actual aliens who were still alive. The possibility that they might finally make contact with another species was both exciting and terrifying. "Can you clean up the signal, Elena?" Jake asked as he moved to her station. "I am working on it, sir, but the signal is very weak and seems to be heavily encrypted," Elena said as her fingers flew across her control panels. "Wait, there is something else. The signal is not coming from just one source. There are dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all coming from different directions." Commander Pete Johnson emerged from his office at the back of the command deck. As the station's intelligence officer, he was always interested in anything that might represent a potential threat to human space. "What kind of signals are we talking about?" he asked. "They appear to be communication signals," Elena replied. "Very advanced and using transmission methods we have never seen before. The interesting thing is that they all seem to be focused on this sector of space where we are located." Lisa pulled up another display showing the distribution of the signals around their position. "Look at this pattern. All of these signals are coming from inhabited systems that we have detected but never approached. They form a rough sphere around human space with us at the center." Jake stared at the display and felt a chill run down his spine. "Are you saying that we are surrounded by alien civilizations that have been watching us?" "That is exactly what the data suggests," Lisa said. "And based on the signal strength and complexity, these are not primitive societies. These are advanced spacefaring civilizations that have been out there all along." Elena suddenly straightened up at her station. "Captain, I am getting a direct transmission. It is using human language protocols, but the accent is strange, like someone learned our language from old recordings." "Put it through the main speakers," Jake ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was clearly not human. It spoke English, but with an odd rhythm and pronunciation that made every word sound carefully chosen. "Human vessel at coordinates 774 by 218 by 991, you should not have called. They will know you are still there." Jake exchanged glances with his crew. "Elena, can you respond to that transmission?" "I can try, sir," Elena said as she opened a communications channel. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Jake Morrison of Mapping Station Kepler 7. Can you identify yourself?" There was a long pause before the alien voice responded. "Captain Morrison, you do not understand the danger you have created. For thousands of years we have maintained the silence around your space. Now you have broken that silence." "What silence?" Jake asked. "We have been trying to contact other civilizations for decades. That is the problem," the alien voice replied. "You are the quiet ones who ended the singers. Your people bring the silence that kills the music of minds. We have kept the others away from your space, but now you reach too far." Lisa was frantically working at her station trying to analyze the transmission. "Jake, this signal is coming from a ship that is at least 50 times larger than our biggest vessels. The technology readings are off the charts. Unknown vessel," Jake said into the communication system. "We do not understand what you mean by quiet ones or singers. We are explorers, seeking peaceful contact with other species." "Peaceful," the alien voice said, and there was something like laughter in the tone, but it sounded wrong somehow. "Captain Morrison, your species does not understand what it is. You cannot Hear the music that connects all thinking minds across the galaxy. Wherever humans go, the music dies and minds become isolated like yours have always been. Pete Johnson stepped forward. Are you saying that our presence somehow harms other species? Not harm, the alien voice replied. Worse than harm, you make them like you. Cut off from the great conversation that has lasted for millions of years. This is why the maps end at human space, Captain Morrison. This is why there is only silence when you call into the dark. Elena was monitoring multiple channels now, and her face had gone pale. Captain, there are hundreds of ships out there. They are maintaining position at the edge of our sensor range, but they are definitely watching us. How long have you been watching us? Jake asked. Since your species first reached beyond your home world, the alien replied. We hoped you would remain contained to your local systems. We built barriers to guide your expansion away from populated space. But your technology advances faster than we expected. Lisa looked up from her analysis station. Jake, I am reading massive energy signatures from at least 30 different directions. These are not exploration vessels. These are warships. We do not wish to fight, the alien voice continued. Fighting requires coming close to your ships, and that would expose our crews to your silence. Instead, we must ensure that the quiet death does not spread beyond the boundaries we have established. Jake felt the full weight of the situation settling on his shoulders. Humanity had spent centuries wondering if they were alone in the universe, and now they had their answer. They were not alone, but they were isolated for a reason that they did not understand. Other species feared them not because humans were aggressive, but because human minds worked differently in ways that apparently threatened the very foundation of galactic civilization. What happens now? Jake asked. Now, Captain Morrison. You must choose, the alien voice replied. Return to your space and accept the boundaries we have set, or force us to take more direct action to protect the galaxy from your kind. The decision belongs to your leaders, but the consequences will affect every thinking mind in known space. The transmission ended, leaving the command deck of Kepler-7 in complete silence. Jake looked around at his crew and saw his own fear reflected in their faces. They had made first contact with alien life and discovered that humanity was not welcome in the galaxy. Worse than that, they had learned that human existence itself was considered a threat by every other intelligent species. Elena broke the silence first. Captain, what are our orders? Jake stared out at the dead star and realized that it might be a preview of humanity's future if they could not find a way to bridge the gap between human minds and whatever connected the rest of galactic civilization. Send a message to Earth Command, he said finally. Tell them we have made contact and that we have a very serious problem.